let's discuss Jay-Z's 13th studio album, 444. And before I get to what I thought about it, I want to let you guys know which were my favorite tracks, and you guys can share what your favorites were in the comments section. On my list is Kill Jay-Z, The Story of OJ, Family Feud, Legacy, and Moonlight. Least favorite was Caught Their Eyes with Frank Ocean. I just didn't know what was going on with that track. Bam and Marcy Me. Everything else was just pretty much in the middle for me. On to what I thought about it. I felt that what he was really trying to get to with this whole entire project was basically economic empowerment. I mean, it's on the OJ song, obviously on Legacy, Moonlight. There's a theme of black owned. There's a theme of, why would I drink Belvedere when Puff has Ciroc? Jay-Z's sort of evolving from what he used to do, which is basically what everybody else used to do, which is, you talk about how much money you have and you talk about what you can do financially, and you contrast that to what other rappers can't do financially. But instead, what he's choosing to do now is talk about economic growth and talk about investments and how we can grow things within our own community so we're not dependent on others. Title is pretty much a manifestation of what this whole thing is about. Yeah, the mere fact that he put this thing on Title, which, I mean, you could argue, how is that going to fare out for the sales of the album, because he's exclusively, only making it for Title people or for Sprint customers. But Jay-Z, just like he said in The Story of OJ, he set himself up for a really nice release date. And I think that's a reference to Title, but I'm not here to decode lines or any shit like that. I remember recently when that whole situation happened with LeBron James, where his second home got sprayed up, and they put nigger outside the gate, and LeBron made that speech where he compared what had happened to him with Emmett Till's mom and revealing the casket, all that stuff. And there were a lot of critics that said that LeBron has somehow bought his way out of being a victim of racism because he's rich, which is something that, it's absurd. It's understandable what's the intent behind that comment, to say that things are minimized once you've reached a certain level, but in no way, shape, or form does it absolve you of the effects of racism. And that's really what he's getting to here with The Story of OJ. Jay-Z is basically doing what Nas was doing 10 years ago. And if you don't realize that, then you're not paying close enough attention. This is basically what Nas was trying to do years ago, but his voice just wasn't loud enough. I think when you're not the top artist and you want to talk about black empowerment and unity, hip-hop just sort of condescendingly puts you in the conscious box, taps you on your head, and says that you are real hip-hop, but they don't really take you seriously. Jay-Z can do this now, but the problem is no one's really listening that hard. People can listen to the album and say that Jay-Z is the greatest of all time. He predated Drake. He's still relevant to some extent. Because when you consider the fact that LL Cool J has about these amount of albums, I think it's somewhere in the teens. And if LL Cool J came out with an album now, no one would give a shit. And now that Jay-Z can put out this 13th album and people of all demographics care, I think that really says something about Jay-Z's power. But people pay attention to the fact that he makes songs like the OJ record, but nobody's really, really listening. You understand what I'm saying? When he makes tracks like Moonlight and he's putting his finger on most of these people's chests right now, nobody's really listening to what he's saying. Stop walking around like y'all made Thriller. Nobody's really listening, or people are just pretending like they didn't hear what he just said. But I think this whole thing was about economic empowerment, and also just to remind people that I'm still Jay. I'm still capable of delivering a cohesive project. And by the way, don't list this under the top anything. This isn't even in the top 5, so I don't want to hear any conversations of, oh, this is a little bit better than the Blueprint, but, not as good as Hard Knock Life 2. No, it's not. It's nowhere in the vicinity of the top. It is above Magna Carta Holy Grail. It's probably above those records because those were all over the place, but that's not really saying much. It's just very well done, a very small, compact album. But again, is anyone listening to what Jay-Z is saying? Is he hopping on the black empowerment train that Kendrick has pretty much been steering? A train that, as I said, Nas has been pushing years ago on the mainstream level. We can always make a case for people like Dead Prez. We can always make a case for people who spoke about these things, but at the same time, they didn't have the commercial appeal, so they weren't losing anything in the long run. They could basically say whatever they wanted to no consequence. Listen to a song like They Schools. I'll put it in the comment section below. Dead Prez, They Schools. I mean, that is one of the most militant tracks that you'll ever hear, but Dead Prez can get away with it because they have been put into that conscious box. What did you guys think about this record, the 444? I think it's pretty solid, considering the fact that I liked about 5 to 6 tracks and it was very short. I think it's unexpected that Jay-Z would deliver this kind of quality, but again, it speaks to Jay-Z's legacy. It speaks to Jay-Z's skill that he could drop something so good out of nowhere when not much is expected. But what do you guys think about it? Please let me know what your favorite tracks were, what your not so favorite tracks were in the comment section below, and I will see you guys next time.